name is Deborah, this is Book In with Deborah. It has been a while since I have last recorded and uploaded a video to my booktube channel, so I am feeling a little bit rusty as I am filming this video, so please bear with me. Today's video is just really a bit of a life catch up, kind of check-in really. We'll let you know a little bit about what's been going on for me and why my videos came to a bit of an abrupt end. Sort of September time I think was the last time I uploaded a video. I'm really sorry I have not been uploading to my channel. I just wanted to really let you all know, whoever is watching this video, just how much I've really missed the booktube community and being a part of the booktube community. It's only sometimes when you take a break from things that you kind of realise what a role it plays in your life. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you to everybody who has continued to stay subscribed to my channel even though I've not been posting, and welcome to any new subscribers. I'm sorry I've not uploaded recently, but there's been some things going on which just meant booktube and reading in general just had to take a little bit of a backseat in my life for a little while. I am going to talk briefly towards the end of this video about some of the books that I have managed to read or listen to during kind of September, October and November. But before I do that, I just thought I'd explain, you know, what's been going on for me. I've got to be honest and say I've not had the best year health-wise. I was really realising I really wasn't feeling very well during sort of May, I think, this year, and eventually in June I did manage to get an appointment with a really good GP. I had been backwards and forwards to my doctors previously, pre-2020, with various issues that I was struggling with, but I don't think I was fortunate enough to get a particularly good GP back in 2019, and life being what it has over the last few years, you kind of just keep going with things even though you realise you're not feeling very well. As a result of this really good GP that I saw back at the beginning of June, I did get a referral to see a specialist, and although it was meant to be an urgent referral, with situation in the NHS in the UK at this time, the urgent referral took 3 months for me to be seen by the specialist, and in between the time of sort of June, July and August, I had to undergo various tests and have various investigations at the hospital to try and work out what was going on and to rule out various things. By the time I'd got to August this year, I was really starting to feel not myself in terms of my physical health wasn't really good. That was having a knock-on effect with my mental health, and it was really actually starting to affect my cognitive abilities. So like my brain function wasn't particularly good, and everything just started feeling like really hard work. Towards the end of August I was really struggling, and by the beginning of September I had hit a bit of a wall with my health. I have ended up having to take some time off work this year, which, you know, sometimes you need time off work, but sometimes when you're not in work that can sometimes make things worse if you're struggling. So I just had to take a break, I'm afraid, from all things booktube. I actually got to the point in September where I actually couldn't read anything at all. So I'd got all these books out of the library and I just couldn't concentrate on anything. I'd got books out of the library for October and I couldn't even pick them up and read them, and at its worst I couldn't even listen to my audiobooks to get to sleep at night because I just could not focus and concentrate on things. So you can't really upload to a booktube channel when you're not actually reading or consuming any books in any way. And I realised that I just really needed to put getting well at the front and centre of my life and concentrate on, you know, needing to do what I had to do at work and various other adulting things that you just have to do. That's why I've not been around on booktube, and because I was really struggling with concentrating, even just watching television programmes and things like that was just not happening. I couldn't concentrate on anything, so I ended up taking a complete break from booktube because it's not particularly beneficial to be watching booktube videos when you haven't been actually able to read any books yourself and you're struggling with your reading, and you usually use your reading to help you relax and switch off and manage life. So yeah, so if I normally subscribe to your channel and watch all your videos, I'm really sorry that I've not been around supporting your channel and commenting on your videos for a while. I am slowly getting back to it. I have started to get back to booktube, watching videos, which has been really nice actually, and it's really helped me realise just how I've missed many of the booktubers in the booktube community who I subscribe to. But I've obviously got a lot of videos to watch for a lot of different people, so if I've not managed to watch any of your videos yet, I will be at some point in the near future catching up with some of your videos. Just to say, with regards to my health, it is getting better. There was nothing too serious. We don't think of any major concern that was found, so that was a big relief. I am on medication and I'm starting to feel better as a result of that, but it's probably going to take me another 3 to 4 months before I fully feel the benefit of that. So it is a bit of a slow process, and I am trying to sort of concentrate quite a lot of my energy into what I need to do to sort of improve my physical and sort of mental health a little bit. So in terms of booktube going forward, it might not be quite as frequent as it has been during other parts of the year, and I might not be reading quite as much as I have earlier on this year either. I was really disappointed actually to have missed out on October as a reading month, because within the booktube community it is Victober, which is a big kind of readathon that I was really looking forward to, along with Black History Month, which is Black History Month here in the UK, and it's also kind of spooky season as well. And I'd been thinking from about April what books I was going to actually probably read in October. I had this, you know, TBR plan and I was really looking forward to it, and I did get quite a lot of the books out of the library, but as I said, I just couldn't pick them up and I couldn't concentrate, and I tried several books, and in the end I just took all of my books back to the library and just gave myself kind of permission to just take a proper break from reading, in the hope that with that proper break and focusing on other things it would come back in time. One book that I did start reading, which was for around the Victober season, was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I'm only 60 pages into this book. I've got to be honest and say I don't think it's the right book for me at this time, so whether I will carry on with this and get this finished by the end of this year, I'm really not sure, to be honest with you. It's not the happiest, cheeriest, light-hearted Victober classic to be reading when you're having a difficult time around your reading. So I did start it and I am planning to go back to it, but I'm not sure that I'm going to force myself to stick with it at the minute. I might pick it up in the new year when hopefully I'm feeling a bit more up to speed with my reading, and then I think I'll appreciate it a little bit more. But I did start that one. In terms of the next few videos that I am planning, I am hoping to upload some videos between now and the end of the year to kind of wrap up some of the books that I've read. I would like to do an update on my Read Around the World challenge. I've got some books that I want to wrap up for the countries of Uganda, Colombia and Somalia, which I read between June, July and August, which I've not had the opportunity to talk about on my channel as yet. And I've also got a video which I think I've recorded and I just need to edit, hopefully, which is the rest of the books that I read during July and August. And I want to make sure I've got those wrap-up videos on my channel before the end of the year, because you never know, some of those books might just make it into my favourite reads of 2022, which is a video that I'm looking forward to doing sometime early in January. I'm also looking at filming a book haul, which will be all the books that I've bought between July and the end of this year. So I have got a book haul to share, and that will either probably go up either towards the end of this year or the beginning of next year. As I've mentioned, I really haven't read very much between September, October and November at all. I did post a September TBR when I was planning to read a number of books for Shorty September, and a lot of that reading just did not happen, and a lot of the books got put back on my shelves or returned to the library. But there was 3 books that I read that could fit within the Shorty September. So I'm just going to go through those first. The first of those is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. This is quite a popular book that's been talked about quite a lot on booktube, so you may already be familiar with the premise of this one, but just in case you are not. It is set in 1985 in a small Irish town. During the weeks leading up to Christmas, Bill Furlong, a coal merchant and a family man, faces into his busiest season. Early one morning, while delivering an order to the local convent, Bill makes a discovery which forces him to confront both his past and the complacent silences of a town controlled by the church. This was a short read for Shorty September. It's just 118 pages long. I enjoyed this. I did think it was a good little read. I liked the writing style that Claire Keegan used, but because it was so short, there's not a lot you can really say about a book that's 118 pages long. What I will say about the book is the dedication at the beginning of the book really gives away where the book is going and the direction that the book is going, and it almost, for me, gives away the story before you want to know that, or it did for me anyway. So if you've not read this book and you are thinking about reading it, I would skip the dedication maybe at the beginning, because it did impact on my reading experience to know exactly where this book was going and where the story was going. But I did quite enjoy it, and I probably would read other things by Claire Keegan. The next little short book that I read was just 96 pages, and that was The Swimmer by Graham Norton. I have read and enjoyed most of Graham Norton's previous books, so I was quite keen to get to this little book. This is quite a quiet, kind of cosy, short mystery set around the Irish coast, and I did enjoy reading this one as well. It's about Helen, who is sitting looking out to sea when she sees an unknown swimmer. The stranger never returns and is assumed to have died. But Helen does not feel this is the whole story. What I really like about Graham Norton's books is he does create some really good characters that are really relatable and that you can really feel like you know them and empathise with them, and that really helps you to feel engaged with the story, even if it is just a really short story, which this one was at 96 pages, so I did enjoy this little read. Another short book that I did manage to read at just 180 pages is The Blue Tent by Richard Gwyn. And this was an unplanned read, actually. I was in the library one day just looking for something to see if I could find anything that I wanted to read, and this book stood out for me, and it was quite short, so I thought I would give it a go. But it did take me weeks to get through this little book, and that probably tells you where I was struggling with my reading. It was only 180 pages, as I said, and it took me about 4 or 5 weeks to actually manage to finish it. So yeah. This book is set in an isolated house in the Black Mountains of South Wales. A man spends insomniac nights absorbed in the ancient texts left to him by his mysterious aunt. When a blue tent appears in the field at the end of his garden, his solitary life is turned inside out. Who owns the tent, and when the tent's occupants emerge, whose story are they telling? So this was a sort of a bit of a mystery with elements sort of felt a bit magical at times running through it. I was really engaged at the beginning of this book with the atmosphere that the book creates, and that really did hook me in, and these sort of interesting characters that come into the lead character's life, of like, who are these people and where have they come from and why are they here, and I did really enjoy that. There was an awful lot of build-up in this book around what might be or might not be happening and who the different characters were that appeared in the book and why they were there. And when it got to the second half of this book, I did start to feel like, is this book going to be one of those books that doesn't fully deliver for me because of all the build-up that it felt like there was? And although I did enjoy this read, when it did get to the end, I was left feeling a little bit deflated and a bit left thinking, what? but not in a good way, where you feel like, oh, what was that about? That was interesting and it's giving me food for thought. It was just a bit of a, what was that about? Was this a good use of my time? So yeah, it was okay, and I'm glad I read it, but I was a little bit let down by the ending, I think. Since I finished reading The Blue Tent, I haven't read any physical books at all, and I still feel like I am struggling to actually pick up a physical book and read a physical book. We are going away on a little bit of a mini break for a few days soon, so I'm hoping that a bit of a change of scenery and giving myself real permission to relax and a bit of time away from work may well help me get back into my physical books. But I have started listening to my audiobooks again, which is a relief. And the first one of those that I wanted to talk about was Forever Home, which is also by Graham Norton. And this is a contemporary family drama with a sort of mystery element running through it. Carol is a divorced teacher living in a small town in Ireland. Her only son has now grown up and she is living with Declan, a second chance at love. But what happened to his wife, who abandoned them all those years ago? When Declan becomes ill, things start to fall apart, and it seems that there are secrets in Declan's past, strange rumours that were never confronted, and suddenly the house they shared takes on a more sinister significance. As I said about Graham's books earlier, his writing is very character driven, and I always find the characters he creates really quite engaging. They feel really real and true to life, like real people that you would know. This book did start a little bit slow for me compared to some of his other books that I've read, and it felt a little bit draggy at the beginning when it was sort of setting the scene and we were getting to know some of those characters. However, once we got through that and I was into the audiobook for a few hours, I was really, really hooked into this mystery thread that was running through the book, and it really did sort of capture my interest and engage me. I do really like Graham Norton's writing style. There's a coziness to his writing that I really appreciate, and they're generally always set in Ireland, particularly around the Irish coast, which is a nice setting. And he narrates his own audiobooks, and I think he's actually a really good narrator of his own books. I enjoyed listening to this one, and that means that I have read all of Graham Norton's books so far. And I have to be honest and say my favourite is still The Keeper by Graham Norton. I enjoyed Forever Home, but it was still nowhere near as engaging and as good as The Keeper. And then another audiobook that I have managed to read is a bedtime listen, so I'm relieved that I've been able to get into listening to books to get to sleep at night. I listened to the Graham Norton one just when I was pottering and doing things around the house. But my bedtime listen that I've managed to finish in November is The Last Chance Library by Freya Sampson. This is a contemporary book for book lovers and library lovers. June Jones is a library assistant who has never left her hometown, still grieving for her mum and living in her childhood home with her cat, Alan Bennett, which is a great name for a cat. When Chalcott Library is threatened with closure, an eclectic and entertaining group of lively patrons join together to campaign for the library's survival. This was such a good bedtime listen for me when I have not been feeling particularly well and been struggling around my reading. It's such a feel-good book, it's so heartwarming, it's a celebration of local libraries and highlights the importance of local libraries in local communities. There are some sad elements within this book and some quite emotional moments within it, but it was ultimately a very uplifting listen and a perfect bedtime listen for me. Those are all of the books that I managed to either read or listen during September, October and November. You can see how much my reading has been affected by my health issues. But I am feeling optimistic that I am going to get my reading mojo back, hopefully before the end of the year. As I've said earlier, I have got some videos planned to wrap up some of the books that I'd read earlier this year, which I've not spoken about as yet, and a bit of a book haul coming, so there will still be some videos hopefully to see us through to the end of the year, and let's hope that by January my reading mojo is back to full force. Before I finish this video, I just wanted to say thank you again to everybody who has stayed subscribed to my channel, and welcome to any new subscribers. I really have missed reading and being part of the booktube community, and it's really nice to be able to come back and be recording videos and watching other people's videos. Thank you so much. I'd love to hear in the comments down below how you are, what you've been up to in the last few months. Even if it's nothing to do with reading, just let me know how you are. If you have been reading anything recently, let me know what you've been reading and let me know how you found it. I really hope that life has been kind to you over the last few months and that you are keeping well. Take care. Thank you for watching. Bye.